Look at the way people rescue dogs during a flood in India. And here's an example of a great way to use a remote-controlled car. This turtle was in trouble being so far away from the water, but thankfully this guy was there to help. And this leopard could never get out of this deep well if it weren't for the people that came to its aid. This guy is taking care of a dog like it's his dear friend. Firefighters got this pit bull out of a burning house, and it took a lot of effort to bring it back to life.
Ну чего, будем жить-то, а?
And when people found it, amazingly, the wild predator is not panicking or trying to run off. Instead, it is patiently waiting to be helped. Forest officials managed to remove the pot by temporarily tranquilizing the animal. This man is deftly climbing up a lamppost to save a pigeon that got caught on a streetlight. This story happened on the Sakhalin Island. 4 orcas got trapped in glaciers, 2 of them in almost entirely inaccessible spots. The ice tightens, wounding them, while they cried, begging for help. For rescuers, divers, and volunteers, the goal is to push the giant chunks of ice away with long poles. To prevent the orcas from getting ice burns, they are watered with seawater. At the same time, the animals keep periodically turning onto their backs and putting themselves at risk of choking. That's why the rescue team try to establish contact. They are speaking to the whales, cheering them on and keeping them calm. In this footage, you can see the wounded 6-meter animal obediently fulfilling people's requests. It doesn't show any aggression and allows people to do all the necessary things for it to be rescued. After the medical treatment, it quickly recovered and followed the others into sea. Just imagine how scared this bobcat is after getting stuck in a trap. But the man didn't want to harm it. In fact, he was trying to help. In the end, the animal stops and looks back at him. What might that mean? And here's another similar case.
All right, you're about to have him.
Okay.
He's all yours, man. Let me get out of the way. He'll stay right there for 10. You flip him out of that circle.
Every time this guy takes his boat out, a goose he saved many years ago flies by his side, and later she introduces him to her gosling. And this penguin escaped a herd of angry orcas by jumping into a tourist boat. And this homeless dog with a leg injury came to a vet clinic all by itself. Pulling a huge elk out of a pit is quite a challenge, but these guys don't give up, trying again and again. You can see clearly that the animal tries really hard to do whatever it takes. And finally...
Come on. Yeah, come on. Watch out. Come on, bud.
He's going, run!
There you go, buddy.
Due to an electric shock, this monkey lost consciousness and fell onto the train tracks. And watch what happens. For over 20 minutes, another monkey fought to bring it back to life. And it succeeded. Back in the day, that's what the life of Hoover the tiger looked like. Needless to say, he was unhappy. But now his life looks very different. and it's all thanks to the kind people that saved him from a Peruvian circus and brought him to a rescue center in Florida. People noticed a bear that climbed atop of a utility pole. They tried to rescue the animal, but the bear was lucky enough to come down on its own.
The bear survives the shock and the fall.
The native beak of this crow, called Don, was seriously damaged due to an injury. He got a second chance when people made him a new acrylic beak. And here, people saved a baby tamarin and returned it to its mother. A few fox cubs made a home under this woman's desk. When one of them had its head stuck into a jar, it came to her for help. An entire village gathered to help a wounded elephant. First, they pulled it out of the water with great effort. Then it was time to heal the animal. This person held a drip bag for several hours, and their efforts were not in vain. This eagle asked for some water on a hot day. How could you say no?
Смотри, какой хороший.
This pony was born with only 3 legs, and now it's walking for the first time in its life, thanks to the person who made a prosthetic for the pony. Great job all around. Everyone did their part. The dog swimming towards the people, the man risking his life, and the people that stopped him from falling in. This cobra got its head stuck in a metal can, and despite the danger of this venomous snake, men helped the cobra and moved it to a place that was safer for other people. Baby fox got its head stuck in a can and was desperately crying for help. Thankfully, the cub was rescued, and now it is safe. Saving animals from people is hard work. This horse was severely malnourished, but thankfully, there were compassionate people who saved it. People found a bound and hidden turtle and immediately went into rescue mode, bringing it back to life.
No, he's just trying to lift him. Okay. Off you go.
Go on.
Yeah,
Go on.
good job. Oh.
To save this elephant, a whole excavator was involved. And here's a display of the elephant's gratitude. This fox cub got stuck in a wheel, and the vest had to work really hard to help it.
Speed.
Go on, God for that. You draw half.
This giraffe got into trouble, but fortunately it ended well.
He's alive. He's alive. He's going. We just saved him. Yes.
Many people enjoy feeding squirrels, and it looks adorable, but the stats are pretty upsetting. 75 to 80% of the young don't survive to the age of 1, dying of various causes. This baby squirrel is hopelessly tangled in some fishing line. It was just thrashing on the ground and calling for help when it was found by 2 guys. They took the baby to a hanger and set it free using a pair of scissors. A man noticed an injured puppy in the road, and look how happy the mom was to get some help. Fortunately, they are both okay now. These people came together to take this thing off the animal's head. Think about the risk they were taking. It's a good thing they managed to run off afterwards. Otherwise, they'd be the ones who needed help. And to rescue this seagull stuck in the power lines, they needed a whole helicopter. A cat with a broken leg came to the hospital to get a cast. This baby deer got stuck in a fence and loudly cried due to the resulting pain. Thankfully, people heard the animal and came to its aid. These people helped a pigeon that fell down their chimney. They released the bird, but notice how it's not in any rush to fly away. It only goes once it's had a chance to say goodbye. The antlers of these two deer were locked together, and the poor animals were on the brink of death. Just imagine how difficult it was to separate the animals using a chainsaw without hurting them. But it ended well. This little hungry bear cub was left without a mother, so it came to people for help. This person walked into the icy lake to rescue a deer and bring it to dry land. This bird was so weak when it was found that it couldn't eat. Thankfully, a volunteer by the name of Dimbadu Babu brought it back to life, nursed it back to health, and released it back to nature. In the zoo, the meat to feed the lions was brought to them in barrels. One time, at feeding time, this lion's head got stuck. Fortunately, the animal patiently waited for the vet who was able to help. Sea turtle got stranded on the shore upside down, but it was very lucky to be found by these guys because high tide wasn't due for another few weeks. The foot of a fox got stuck in the football net, and it took real effort to free it. Thankfully, there were no injuries and the cub was able to return to its mom without any problems. The burrow of this raccoon collapsed and it was trapped. Thankfully, two teenage brothers noticed it and managed to dig the animal out with their dad's help. In search for food, 4 puppies got stuck in spilled tar. They couldn't move at all, but they still managed to cry for help. To clean the tar off their fur, people had to use oil and dishwashing fluid. And here's what they look like now. This 6-day-old elephant was abandoned by the herd due to illness, but the locals saved it. Look how grateful the animal is to them. Many people made an effort to help the affected animals. For example, this woman is washing a kangaroo's burned hands. The little animal is not trying to escape and even allows the human to stroke it. And if it could, it would probably hug the woman in response. The white blotch approaching the shore is a pair of swans. They got tangled with one another and they understand that without the human's help, they are doomed. So when they spot the passers-by, they swim right towards them. The swans' wings and necks are in a disarray and require a lot of effort and precision in order to not cause any damage. But now these proud birds can spread their wings. And now you see a deer that also needs help. It's stranded on a frozen lake in Pennsylvania. It looks like it went too far, slipped, and could no longer get up. A hunter couldn't stand to see it suffer. He tried to save the animal by using a rope. Once the rope is attached, he towed the deer to the shore. This baby sloth's name is Guanabana, and in this footage he is doing fine. However, not long ago this baby was in huge danger. After low tide, he got stuck between 2 rocks and he could have died during the next tide. The baby sloth was crying loudly and calling for help. His cries for help were heard by a man named Dirk. He rescued the animal, drove him home, and later took him to an animal rescue center. Was unlucky. but he did get rescued in the end. Crossing the road must be very difficult when you're a family of ducks.
Oh, get your baby! Get your baby! Oh, help him! Yay! Thank you!
Thank you to this guy and the other drivers who stopped to let them through.
Everywhere. I hate spuds. Okay, come on.
After falling into a pool, the flying fox had no other options but to trust a human.
Don't you even think about biting me.
And this person is helping a cat, risking his own hands in the process. The animal was saved and the man also was taken care of. This poor thing's wing was stuck in a blackberry bush, which caused it to almost drown. People took the owl to a sanctuary, and after a week and a half of rehabilitation, the bird is as good as new. And this hippo is completely unafraid to open his mouth to let the human brush his teeth. It looks like he might even like it. The most predatory animals appreciate kindness too, even if it's a venomous snake. And here, people are delivering cows from the mountain ridges to the comfortable alpine meadows. Photographer Martin LeMay captured some images of an unusual animal friendship where a weasel was riding on the back of a woodpecker. Just look at the way this baby squirrel eats a banana. This dolphin got stuck in the shallow riverbed 3 miles away from the nearest sea. It is on the brink of death, since dirty stagnant water is not a suitable habitat. You can hear the dolphin make a distinctive whistle in hopes of someone hearing it. Thankfully, a human is nearby and he rushes to the rescue. People resuscitate the injured animal using whatever they can find, and later it is returned to its native element.